It's going down. Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rachakwadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth and sincerity while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return. And double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And welcome to another series of It's Going Down, being brought to you by the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. Army conducting 2-week guerrilla warfare exercise in rural North Carolina focused on battling freedom fighters. So, they're not going to come out and say it, but they're training to kill you. Okay, now of course, this is going to be 2 weeks, and look at the area they're training in. This look like they're training out in country-based areas. Now, before in the past, when we saw the U.S. military training, we saw them training in urban areas or urban-like areas, and they had civilians, predominantly Israelites, as poster boards set up around these urban training areas, which they were trained to shoot and kill. But you know, they were training to aim and shoot at these different boards. And the civilian boards consisted of children, families, the elderly, etc. But now, if you look, they're training to go against you country folks. Okay? And they're mainly doing this because they're really training to target you patriarchs, those who are patriotic, those civilians that live out in the suburb areas, that are preppers, those that are armed to the teeth, you know, post-military personnel who were once a part of the military, but then they might have joined or formed a militia to combat the U.S. military. So this is what they're training for. And for you guys out there who refuse to give up your guns, well, these kind of men are going to be coming for you. You know, because the U.S. government, they're not going to stop passing these gun laws. A lot of you proud patriarchs, you're not going to just hand over your guns. So what's going to happen? There's going to be shootouts. As I've said in the previous article, much similar to this. It says the U.S. Army is conducting a 2-week guerrilla warfare exercise in rural North Carolina focused on battling freedom fighters and putting down a secessionist movement. Now, just real quick, for edification, I would like to go to Google and look up secessionist. Okay? What is a secessionist? What is a secessionist? I'm going to look up secessionist and then secessionist movement. Okay, so a secessionist is a person who favors formal withdrawal from membership of a federation or body, especially a political state. Okay, favoring formal withdrawal from membership of a federation or body, especially a political state. So, like, for an example, a person who was once a part of the U.S. military, right, who basically withdrew from the armed forces, and you know, now you know, he's living on his own, or he might have decided to join a militia. this person would be considered a secessionist. A person who used to be a part of the U.S. military, but he withdrew from the U.S. military, and he still has military weapons like assault rifles, hunting rifles, sniper rifles. He withdrew from the U.S. military, right? And now he might be on his own, or he might have decided to join a militia, or lead a militia. This person will be considered a secessionist. So a lot of you men who used to be a part of the military that are no longer a part of the military, they're training to axe out people like you. Okay? They call you secessionist. Okay? Typically, if you were a part of the military, you would be considered a member of a federation, or a member of a body, which a body would be considered a military. Now let's look up what a secessionist movement is. Secession is the withdrawal of a group from a larger entity. Okay? Especially a political entity, but also from any organization, union, or military alliance. You see? So, somebody who was once a part of the military but withdrew from the military and is a person who's now with gun laws, a person who's not going to just hand over his guns, he will be considered a secessionist. And there's a lot of men who were once in the U.S. military who are leaving the U.S. military because they're starting to see the corruption of the U.S. government. And what are they doing? They're forming up their own militia groups. A secession attempt might be violent or peaceful, just like how a militia group can be violent or peaceful, right? You got militia groups out there, and there's other different kinds of groups. You got the Confederation, violent or peaceful group, but the goal is the creation of a new state, right? And that's why they form militias, because they intend on forming their own thing or entity independent from the group or territory it seceded from. Right? And it's getting to a point to where a lot of people are starting to not want anything to do with the U.S. government. And the U.S. government sees this. That is why they got men like this training to axe out secessionist or a secessionist movement. The exercise comes right as the Justice Department under Attorney General Merrick Garland announced the creation of a new domestic terrorism unit to go after American citizens as terrorists. Did you hear that? And the U.S. government actually has the legal right to do this. Why? Because when Obama was in office, he passed the NDAA Act, which is an acronym, NDAA, which is an acronym for the National Defense Authorization Act, which was a bill signed and passed by Obama, in which this bill deemed everybody on the soils of America as either dissidents or terrorists. Okay, but they're not just targeting just any old American citizens. They are targeting American citizens that were once a part of the U.S. military, or that was once operating for the U.S. government but stopped. And They either went on as lone wolves. They're just living by themselves, out in the cabin in the woods somewhere. They might be living in suburban areas, or they might be living in these areas and have formed their own militia groups. These are the kind of people that are mainly going to be looked at as terrorists. Okay? Now, of course, according to the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, everybody here on the soils of America is a terrorist. Okay? So you can better understand. The exercise also comes after Army General Mark Miley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, embraced indoctrinating the military with critical race theory, propagating to help soldiers understand the white rage, right, that led to January 6th. And I'm gonna look into this January 6th because apparently something's happened on January 6th that's caused a paradigm shift in things. Okay, airborne. You see that eagle there? Shows you the pride of Edom. Okay, they take pride in their eagle. He looked like he might be an operative behind a U.S. warplane. It says, though such drills are nothing new, they're taking on new significance with the D.C. regime launching their new domestic war on terror. Okay, it says, a realistic guerrilla war will be fought across 24 North Carolina counties this month, with young soldiers battling seasoned freedom fighters, according to the U.S. Army. There's a reason why they're doing this. Remember, if you was once a part of the U.S. military, you were well trained in knowing how to use a weapon. So think about it. Why are they training to battle seasoned freedom fighters? Because they're really preparing themselves to fight against well-trained former U.S. military personnel who was once in the military but withdrew. Okay? These type of men are actually feared by the U.S. government because they know a lot. One moment. I'm sorry, man. My nose is running. Sorry about that, man. Stupid nose. But it says the 2-week unconventional warfare exercise will be staged January 22nd and will last up to February the 4th on privately owned land and will be realistic enough to include the sounds of gunfires, blanks, and flares. The U.S. Army John F. Kennedy's Special Fourth Warfare Center and school said in a new release. That's pretty much all I am going to read there. Okay. KingJamesBible.org. Yes. Let's go here. You see, it's going to get real here. Of course, when they say terrorists, of course, they're also going to be targeting groups as well. So they're also going to be coming after, guys who know they're Israelites. They're also going to be coming after guys who know they are Israelites. So get ready. A lot of you guys who fell out the truth, you're still on the red list to be exterminated by the U.S. government. And when you fell out the truth, you've messed up, man. They're still going to come after you just because you sell out to the U.S. government and you start misleading your people. They don't care about that, man. Let me tell you something about a serpent. A serpent is cold-hearted. A serpent is not some respecter of persons, man. Okay? You could be a best friend to a serpent and he'll still kill you in cold blood. That's why, like it tells you in the book of Sirach, chapter 12, and I believe it's 12 verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. I brought this out the last time I saw this. Second Esdras chapter 15. Second Esdras chapter 15 verse I'll just go at 14. Okay. Second Esdras chapter 15 verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Okay. And now the point is going to be right here in the next verse, verse 15. Okay. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Okay, so this is actually going to happen. People's going to be, now the one people could be talking about U.S. civilians, and the other people could be talking about the U.S. Army that's training to take out these civilians. Civilians that have formed militias, formed to take out the Confederate. I mean, they look deadly serious, man. The modern day sword is what? The gun. So people's going to be training. These, and that's why we always say there's going to be another civil war here in America. There was a civil war that happened here in America during the time of Abraham and Lincoln. During the time of Abraham Lincoln, there's going to be another civil war. Okay, so it goes on to say, the one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Now of course this is also talking about the race wars, but right now I'm focused on the civil wars. Because both the race wars and the civil war is going to be fought with guns. It's going to be shootouts everywhere, man. And once the U.S. Army, once the UN troops start moving in to confiscate people guns by force, the shootouts are going to break out. Because people are not going to just hand over their guns, so there's going to be shootouts. Okay? And it's going to turn into a bloody mess. Now, I will also like to go to verse 16. This one is also good. Second Esdras 15 verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. The modern day king today would be who? Trump. Not Trump. Biden. Okay. Blurry speech Biden. But ain't nobody gonna care what the hell he got to say. It says, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A lot of these Confederates groups and a lot of these militia groups, they already don't like the fact that Biden is in office. So they're ready to pop off. Especially with this puppet Biden passing these gun laws. And these civil wars are going to come from continuously built tensions. Because right now, you can see it in the air that tensions are being built all around America, man. People me mugging one another, you know. So it's going to get bad here. We hear about civil wars taking place in these third world countries, but soon you're going to be seeing it right in front of your face here in America. It's going to be here on the soils. And they're conducting these exercises because they're getting ready to move in, especially on you people who refuse to give up your guns, and especially you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Indians out there that know you're Israelites. They're coming for people like you. So with that, I'm gonna say, Shalom is on to the next one.